Greetings, greetings. Uh, we'll have to open something on the side here so I can keep track of what's going on. Hopefully that's not in the window. Nope, nope, not there. Okay, good. As people who've watched this before might notice, I actually have an audience here. I have somebody who's listening. Don't know how well she's hearing this. Perhaps you could give me a holler if she's hearing this okay? No? Check, check, 1, 2. It looks like my mic's on. Well, yeah, well, anywho, so, if this were your first time, which it might be, I doubt it is, I have people who watch some of my stuff here. They would see me as the name Gwyd or Gwydion, as it were. That's the little character I play in Dragon Warrior here. You know what? That shouldn't be that, because I am now changing my broadcast, although the date, no, not January 3rd. The broadcast should be called Why is Common Core Useful? Dragon Warrior. And the whole point of that is that if anybody were to look up why is Common Core useful, they should come across this lovely little YouTube video which I'm going to post, which will talk about why Common Core is useful. I'm going to describe to you, while playing Dragon Warrior, how and why, so you get the music of Dragon Warrior while you get this. And I'm wondering if my little pal E.T. Here likes that. Do you like that, darling? And I'll try to make it funny in the meantime. Because that's what I do. I make it funny by doing weird voices and things like that. And I have Dragon Warrior on and stuff like that, because that's what I do. I'm a goofy kind of guy. Although I do wonder, Well, okay. So you want a little description of why Common Core might be useful. Well, I want you to take a look at something while I play this game. Take a look at something I'm going to show to you in the chat room here, because hopefully you can see what's being typed out. I want you to think, by looking at Dragon Warrior, take a look at this number 6,092. Or actually, how about 3,176, right? Well, that number, 3,176, I'll write it in chat room, 3176, right? Well, what that represents is that's counting in base 10. Alright? Oops. Oh, went back to a previous save state. Oh, and there's my pal Malariel. He says it's 2:30 here, so I won't stay long, but I wanted to say a little hello to you. Well, you all know because you're reading it. That's okay, Mal. Or Mael. I'm sorry. I'm whatever. I am just going to be doing a little playing, but I'm going to be doing a little bit of an explanation as to why Common Core can actually be quite useful. That's a kind of teaching that's been in the US, and I don't mean all of Common Core. I'm not talking about every little teeny tiny thing. I'm just talking about like certain aspects of it. Something that, as a person with a science background, I realized there was a point for. Well, it's pretty simple, right? You take that number, 3176. Okay, 3176. I'm pointing at it, right? Oh no, wait, you can't see that because. But if you can imagine, well, now it's 3428 because I'm playing it. You know what? Let me go with 6310. I'll go with that one. 6310. Right? Now I'm pointing at it. Well, that's a 0 in the ones place, all right, in the 10 system, and base 10, and a 1 in the tens place, and a 3 in the 100s place, and a 6 in the 1000s place. Well, what that is, when we count in base 10 and we move to the left, right, as we go through this, is we're really doing multiplication and addition while we move along. We're taking the 0, alright, 0, as you can see right here, and we're saying, okay, 0 times 10 to the power of 0. And the reason 10 to the power, well, thanks very much. And the reason why 10 to the power of 0 is important is that anything to the power of 0 is just 1. So 2 to the power of 0 is equal to 1, and that's what that little thingy means, right? So anything we put in that slot, 0 or whatever, represents the 1 space. It represents 1s, and I gotta stop doing that. Stop loading my old save games. And that's because my finger keeps bumping the wrong piece. I gotta make sure that I don't hit that. Let me change my setting. Well, nah, never mind. The whole point of this isn't the game. That's just sort of to keep you entertained while we go on this, right? We have the zeros place, and then the next space over, if you're looking at this, that would be 10 to the first power, alright? So what we did is we took 0 times 10 to the power of 0, and we added 1 times 10 to the power of 1, and 10 to the first power is of course 10, and then the 1 plus 0 is 10, and then we added 3 times 10 to the second power, and something to a power is just multiplied by itself, so, how many times? 1 time, or maybe 2 times. So 10 times 10 is 100, and then we multiplied it by 3, and we got 300, and then we added 6 times 10 to the power of 3, alright? And we got 6,000, right? Well, you wonder, why do you do that? I mean, you're getting 6,000, 6 times 10 to the third, which is 1,000, alright, plus 3 times 10 to the second, which is 100, plus 1 times 10 to the first, which is 10, plus 0 times 10 to the 0, and you got 6,310, alright, equals that, 6,310. Well, who says we have to count in base 10? Alright, when people do computer programming, like was designed to make this Dragon Warrior game here where I'm fighting a gold man, alright, they do things in a base of 2. Alright, what it is instead of each digit potentially representing up to 10 different digits there, right, and people are like, 10 different? So they're like, yeah, 0. 0 is a digit, and then, 1 through 9, add it up, and that makes 10 digits. Makes sense, right? We don't have that 10th digit there because we use that for... we don't have that 10th digit there because when we get to 10, we move 1 space to the left, right? And, even here we've got now 6,098, because I've gone down in experience because I reloaded my game from a previous point, which didn't mean to do, but it happens, and that's the point, right? Well, if we counted to count in base 2, right, each slot, each space here would represent up to 2 digits, 0 and 1, and then every time we got to 2 digits, alright, we'd move to the left 1 space. So the first one would be 2 to the 0 power, so that would be the 1 space, it would be 0, 1, and then 2 to the first power times whatever digit was there, and there can only be 2 there, 0, 1, and then 2 to the second power, which is 4. Alright, so if I wrote out the number, and I'll do it on here, 101110, alright, like that, spaces, right, and in binary, that would be, if I'm looking at this one here, 0 times 2 to the 0 power, so 0 times 1, plus 0 times 2 to the first, so that would be 0 times 2 to the 0 power, plus 1 times 2 to the that's the first power, because we're in the first place over, and then plus, and we have a 1 here, so it's 1 times 2 to the power 2, alright, plus, and so on down the line, 1 times 2 to the power 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, let's say 1, 2 to the third power, which is, we know this is 2 to the second power, or 2 times 2 is 4, and then 2 to the third power, or 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, alright, plus 0 times 2 to the fourth power, plus 1 times 2 to the fifth power, alright, to the fourth power, and that would be 32, so that would be 32 plus 8, which is 40, plus 4 more, which is 44, plus 2 more, which would be 42. Alright? Well, why, that's like Common Core math people are talking about, When I do this thing with all the tens, this whole, 0 times 10 to the thing, plus 0 times, etc., etc., etc. Well, that people are like, well, why would you learn that? What's the importance of that? Why would you need to learn this thing in Common Core with this 10 to the power, 10 to the power? And I'm like, well, you're using it all the bloody time. You're using it. You don't realize that. When you take a look at numbers and you take a look at this, 120, you're doing that in your head. You're saying, 1 times 10 squared plus 2 times 10 to the first plus 0 times 10 to the 0. You're actually saying that. Hi, Countess. Came into the room. How are you? You're saying all that. You're doing that in your head, and you're doing it so quick. Well, instead of doing that, instead of saying, 6310, right? Well, this last one was 10 to the third. Why not say something like 6.310 times 10 to the power 3? Alright, why not do something like that to represent the number 6,310? Well, if you're a scientist, you'd realize what that is when you see that 6.310 times 10 to the third. That is called scientific notation. That's what that is. So people wonder, hey, what's the point of this Common Core? Well, Common Core is how you do scientific notation. Or at least it maps to that. I mean, that's not the only way. And I was told, somebody was talking to me and says, hey, this sounds kind of like polynomials. Well, guess what? It is polynomials. Or polynomes, as some say. That's it. But that also maps to something you do in science, something you do in biology, and chemistry, and physics. Alright, 6.310 times 10 to the third. Alright? So, you see, that's the thing. That whole Common Core learning actually has a point. It actually does map to something. It maps to something useful. So, if people realize that, and, people with... people realize that. It's like, hey, that's actually useful stuff! It's pretty useful stuff. we could use that. You could, understand science better. This wouldn't sound so strange, but in order to do that, you got to learn, something from Common Core. And that's the thing. It's actually useful. By the way, feel free to comment on this. Feel free to comment E.T. and Mayella. So anyway, that was the whole idea. Is I take this and while doing Dragon Warrior, I push this on YouTube. So if somebody looks up, hey, why is Common Core useful? Well, there's a reason why Common Core is useful. You could use that to teach scientific notation. And scientific notation, people are like, well, why do we do, scientific notation? Why not just put 6,310? Well, when I write down 6,310, when I'm talking about certain things in science, what I'm really saying is, like, let's say I was talking about, 6,310 meters or centimeters. Well, how the heck do I know? Did I measure it or something? Did I actually measure out 6,310 centimeters? Did I really do that? I might have. I might have taken a ruler or a very long measuring type and measured it out. Maybe I've got like wheels that measure the distance they're going. Could be any number of things. That give me that information, right? Well, the thing is, I'm not really quite so sure with the wheels, because I might have been just a little bit ahead or just a little bit behind. Hi, McGrew, how you doing? A little bit ahead or a little bit behind. That could be 6,311 centimeters, or it could be 6,309 centimeters. I'm not quite sure. So what I say is 6,310. That means I know it's somewhere between, these and this and this, right? Well, what if I wasn't quite so sure? What if I was only sure between 6,320 to 6,300? What if that, I'm typing that wrong. There we go. What if I'm only quite sure here? I'll put them bottom first and then the top one. What if I'm only quite sure to that range? Well, I'd want to write 6,310, but I don't want to include that last digit because I'm not that certain. I'm not estimating that particular. So I write it in scientific notation. 6.31 times 10 to the third power. That means I know it's somehow between 6,300 and 6,320 because I've only got 3 significant digits. And if you're in science, that would be the thing you learn. You learn about significant digits. And by the way, I'm just kind of farming while I talk here, Grew, so kind of earning experience points. But the other point is I'm also going to post a video and say, hey, this is the use of this is where Common Core comes out. And if you watch the video from the beginning, that's what I get into. I'm not saying that works for every part of Common Core. I just wanted to give a little bit of an example of why it might be important to learn Common Core, what the applications are. Anyway, that's it. So right now it's just chat. I got it out, and I can highlight where it just becomes social chat if people want to talk. If people want to ask questions or anything like that. My background is in science, and I saw a reason for something you have in Common Core, so I wanted to record a video talking about it, and I do it while playing this little Dragon Warrior game. I noticed the video is not the best here. I did a game capture versus a window capture. I'm not real good at this. I just, I'm just learning this system. The whole Twitch TV thing and broadcasting and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I figured I'd give a live broadcast of why something about Common Core is useful.
And hopefully you think it's useful too. I hope you do, because I often try to make it funny by talking about it in silly voices, and it gets a chuckle or two out of people. Perhaps I could do the whole thing about Common Core learning again in this goofy little voice, if you don't mind. I don't know, do you like it?
Well, people aren't really commenting, so I guess I just have people lurking. That's fine. Don't bother me. It don't bother me none. It sure don't bother me none. So I'll have the chat window off to the side, but I'll just oh, no, that's not how I want to do it. Actually, that is a little bit better. Huh. Yeah, and the other game I have on there is Fast. Oop, didn't mean to do that. Okay, seem to have lost the live chat for a moment here, so this will cut off. Actually, that's probably good timing, because that is after I talked about the whole Common Core thing. Looks like I lost a watch or two, but ah well. I do need to learn to do this a bit better and not have the bars on the side. Why the heck is that? It's... huh. I gotta learn how to do that better. So, yeah, feel free to say something in the chat room. Are people really connected here? Let me try. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Saying hello in the chat room. Hello. Are you really there? I don't know. I don't know. I could do it in my goofy voice there, so I guess that people are just lurking. That is alright, they can do that and I will still do my silly voices. And something along those lines, like this, which is kind of like my vampire voice. I guess it could be my vampire voice. Hopefully people like it. I cannot keep this going too much longer, but I don't know if people liked my little thing about Common Core mathematics and why it could be useful. Yeah, that's actually what I did, is I wanted to do a little video on how and why Common Core could be useful. You know, something that it applies to, which is, you know, the way mathematics is done in science, or at least, you know, a way that it's represented in science, like, you know, instead of 6, 3, 10 centimeters, because I'm only sure to 3 digits, you know, because I'm only know to 3 digits, the 6, the 3, and the 1, I say 6.31 times 10 to the third power centimeters. Still same units, just, you know, different way of representing them. And in the meantime, I've got the embryo. Anyway, okay, so I have to stop. Need to go. Been enjoyable. Ciao.